Thank you, everybody, for attending today. We are Uxopian Software, and we're here today to talk about FlowerDocs. So, what is our agenda for today? We have just a couple things here. The first being, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? All great pieces of software are created with problem solving in mind. Next will be, what is FlowerDocs? Then, what makes it so great? Why should you care about it? Following that, we'll have a demo from Alon, and we'll kind of wrap up with why Uxopian software, as well as some time for Q&A. So, beginning with, what is the problem that we're trying to solve today? What is it we're here to talk about? And we thought the best thing to do for this would be to start off with a couple of stories. The first being a data breach of a French telecom company. This actually occurred very recently to France's second largest internet provider. It was in October of 2024, when you're expecting a lot of customers or a lot of people already have cybersecurity on the mind and processes in place to protect their data. But with this data breach, there were 19.2 million customers exposed, as well as 5.11 million IBANs linked. That's international banking account numbers. Now, this data was stolen from internal tools that were left unsecured. Um, and the kind of the follow-up from this was that there was a surge in very personalized phishing attacks. So hackers were using the information they gathered from this to reach out to people to try to get even more information from them. Now, I'd say what this does is really highlights the importance of, you know, robust security, things that you have to have response plans in place before these things happen. And you have to have strict process reviews to make sure that everything you have in place uh, is working properly and protecting people. Now, enterprise content management can help us curb some of this impact and really mitigate these risks in the future. Now, another one that's also occurred, this problem is not specific to France, it happens in the US as well, is actually with Wall Street. Um, this happened throughout a period of 3 years, 2021 to 2024. Was actually the SEC and CFTC auditing about 100 different firms over 3 years. The result of this was $2.8 billion in fines for these companies that were not doing the record keeping properly. So they were discussing things like trades, customer information, using unsecured apps. So WhatsApp and iMessage primarily were the big things there. And what this really resulted in, of course, was fines, but also um, the reaching out, the actual probing process uh, was stalled. It took these teams more time to complete it, as well as just a lot of reputational damage for the companies. If I hear that a company publicly is doing not taking care of my data, I don't want to do business with them. So, really what we should be remembering from this is, like, if your data is in a place that you can't retrieve it, you can't defend it, you can't protect it. It's unsecure. Now, this one's a success story of a way that AI is already reshaping some organizations. And we're seeing this with legal teams as early adopters in a lot of places. So, a great success story recently was at Unilever. There was a AI team that created what they called, or legal team created what they call legal delivery centers. Now, what this did for them was a lot of things. Uh, it automated their contract drafting and their review. And the results of that was they saved 30 minutes per lawyer per day. This also reduced their amount of requests for external counsel. Previously, they were having to make a lot of requests to keep up with all of the legal that came into them. Now, a really great thing for that, especially for the internal team, was that they were spared a round of layoffs. Unilever had some layoffs, um, as most big companies do at some point. But the legal team had made so many optimizations recently that they were efficient enough and did not have anyone laid off in that round. Now you see some other big companies such as GE, BT, ASML, and Repsol have implemented similar processes with, again, similar great results. So what does this mean? It's AI is really a content disruptor for us. It's changing the way that we work with content, but legal is just the start of this. It's just where we're seeing a lot of these early use cases. Now that brings us to FlowerDocs. What is FlowerDocs? I like to do something a little visual here and just show, kind of this is what the product looks like a bit, or can look like. You can customize it. But FlowerDocs is a modern ECM platform meant to centralize, automate, and secure our content. Um, it provides a lot of great things that we're going to talk about, such as a powerful document indexing, search engine, as well as a great API first design. You can accommodate developers as well as business users in a no code workflow builder. So, how are organizations using FlowerDocs today? Well, the big thing that we like to talk about is harmonizing our content silos. So bringing everything from all of these different places together. One of the things I've worked in content management for 9 years now. um, and something I always hear is that organizations have their stuff all over the place. They have so many different systems. They want to bring it into one system, but they need tools to help them with that. Um, so providing that as well as a lower total cost of ownership. And, we want to make this future proof. We want FlowerDocs to adjust and grow with the organizations. Um, so as we've discussed there, we want to provide a unified archive. We want to give people a way to properly store their compliance, their records, and to manage them throughout the whole legal hold lifecycle. Provide version publishing of all of the different documents within the system. And then 360-degree case management. We want to bring everything into a single process, unify all of our docs data and workflow for onboarding, claims, services, whatever we need. So if your process touches a document, FlowerDocs can manage it, automate it, keep it safe. So what makes FlowerDocs so great? Why are we here talking about it? Why should we be excited? Well, I'd say the first thing that we like to discuss is the architecture. So, FlowerDocs, there's a couple of things that we'll notice on this screen. The first, if we look at kind of the top right of this graph, is we'll see OpenSearch, but if we look all over the rest of the graph, we don't see a traditional database. Now, that is something that we view as very positive, as we're taking a true NoSQL approach. It allows us to scale to hundreds of millions of documents and beyond, and not have any issues as we might see with some traditional things. So we have the ability to store our file contents in different places, Amazon S3, NAS storage, really whatever we would like. And then we have Redis in place to handle this large scale queuing of operations, and to help it grow there. Now, we do also see when we're looking at the FlowerDocs that there are two pieces of this. We have FlowerDocs Core and FlowerDocs UI. Now, FlowerDocs Core, we see REST APIs there, as well as the ability to build third-party applications based on that. And this is kind of what, I've mentioned. FlowerDocs was built with an API first approach. It was built to allow people to access every piece of it through the APIs. And we want, if you want to be able to build on top of it, we want to enable that. And it's a similar thing for the UI. The UI provides a lot of development friendly pieces. It's a very powerful UI. We'll talk about, some of the way people access their documents later. But we want to expose that and allow people to search through it. Now, as we've talked about, it's a NoSQL content repository. And, kind of what does that mean? What are some of the capabilities that come with it? Well, there's a couple things. The first is that we have a rich metadata scheme. Uh, we can apply, really whatever we want to metadata, as well as the ability to version. There's powerful versioning there and audit everything. We have full text and faceted search powered by OpenSearch, so you have a great ability to get through the repository and find everything that you want, as well as very fine-grained security through access control lists. So everything that we want to do with security is possible there. Additionally, uh, we can deploy through Dockers, Kubernetes, jars, or we have a SaaS offering as well. So wherever you want to run this software, we'll meet you there. Um, we want to provide that openness and that ability to uh, accommodate. We have pluggable scope packages. So what these are, kind of XML files that are related to instance configuration. Um, you can import them after FlowerDocs has been installed, and this will set up an instance for you. So if you have standard things that you want for people, especially as we're talking through some of the multi-tenancy, um, this will really help you spin up new things very quickly. Now, we are native multi-tenant. Um, the product was built, from the ground up with that in mind. One of the reasons we think this is so important is there's very few repositories that you will see that were built that way. A lot of ECM players have been kind of on the market for too long and maybe hadn't thought about that before they built. They try to retrofit it in and get some weird behavior, and it can be very difficult uh, for other people. Especially one thing we see is that sometimes we'll have system integrators who maybe want to start a service for their industry. They want to host content management for their customers. Well, how are you going to divide up those things? And they can run into a lot of difficulties there. Um, and that's one of the things that makes it so great is you can divide like that if you have if you're a system integrator, if your partner, whoever that wants to host your own customers and divide them up, we're a native multi-tenant for that. And then we even have some customers that divide based on different geographic locations. So depending on where you are, you might have different data keeping requirements, the US, Europe, China. So we'll see different spin ups for those sometimes. And even when you're spinning those up, you can have a template scope that you want, and you can deploy with that and have your instance most of the way configured, before you even get too far and have to spend much time. All right. So the next thing we want to mention is our eProcess module. This can be installed on top of FlowerDocs. It is, kind of a workflow module. And it's designed to efficiently create workflows for organizations of any size. Um, it has a no-code interface that we can use to provide immediate impact. In just a couple of clicks, you can be deploying a new workflow and allow for your teams to test it and to make those changes. And this will also support the changing needs of your organization. Workflows can be adjusted as you grow, as regulations change, or as new processes are required. And then, we'll see a lot of different use cases for this, but some common ones are, know your customer, using it for different claims, clinical trials, customer onboarding, and so much more. It just allows you to create great processes to manage your documents, to follow your documents through their whole life cycle. One of the other great things within FlowerDocs is the way that we access the documents. So we actually use another product that Uxopia makes called a render, which is a very advanced content viewer. Now, most things have annotations, but we like to show this, first of all, that we have a beautiful interface here that allows you to collaborate with your coworkers. And then uh, the other great thing about this is that we also save everything as industry standard XFDF, meaning these annotations can be used pretty much anywhere. They can be exported to native PDF if you need to share outside. There's a lot of really great things to talk about here, and this is another product that I could talk about for a long time. But we also have the ability to do some very advanced kind of searching options here. So one thing that's really great about FlowerDocs and the Arenda repository is it's not a one-to-one, file to logical document relation. You can open up multiple files at once. You can search across all of them. You can decide whether you want to search in your annotations, whether you want to use a regular expression, all that stuff. And then you can, from there, you can highlight certain key phrases, certain things that you found, or you can redact them. So even if you don't have a very process built around it yet, you can do a quick search for a social security regex and just redact all of them. So it's a really great way to work with your documents. And another thing that I don't have a slide for here, but you can generate links to those pages as well to send to your office mates, which is a really nice way of working across multiple teams. Two more kind of advanced features that we have here. We have document builder, which allows for multiple document manipulation. So we've talked about a render is not just a single document. We allow you to uh, open multiple at once. You can drag and drop pages to create new documents. You can have one big document that you split out in order to perform document classification. You know, the options are huge here, endless. And then document comparison as well. So you can take two documents, you can compare them. One of the things that we'll really commonly see here is to compare the text of two different contract agreements. You have companies that are sending things back and forth to each other. They changed a little bit of text, don't tell each other about that. This can find that. And the same with images, we can do pixel comparison as well. So very powerful tool there. And then we also want to note another tool that we have kind of in this ecosystem that Usopian has created is Fast2. Now, Fast2 is our migration product. It has connectors built to most legacy ECMs already. So it's a very great tool for helping you move to FlowerDocs. Now, I would also note that Fast2 is not just for migrations. It can help with what we would call recurring injections, finding data that continues to go out somewhere and continuing to put it back into the repository. And this is how we help eliminate some of those content silos that we were talking about earlier by having something that connects everywhere, that can get it back into FlowerDocs to manage it properly. Fast2 is an amazing and very powerful product. I could do several other webinars on it, but I would just note that it's such a great thing to help us work with our content. We can help migrate it, discover our content, find it where it lies, and transform it, move it however we need it, and work with it the best way. Now, with all that said, I am going to turn over to Alon now, and he's going to show us a demo.
Thank you, Corey. So the goal is to use just a few minutes, like probably we're going to stay like 15 minutes on our on FlowerDocs. So the idea is that you get an idea of the feeling of the user interface of FlowerDocs and eProcess. Like we'll see actually eProcess and FlowerDocs as a mix here today. The first thing, everything I'm going to show you as an API. So we have a Swagger, and so if you work with your IT team and you don't like the UI for some reason, or you want something different with finer control, all of the capabilities that you see today can be integrated with, as there is an API for everything in FlowerDocs. And so you have folders, you see documents, processes, identity, and like all of the things. You will find some controllers and REST API that you can use. And so FlowerDocs comes with a web interface, so you can connect and integrate either with your LDAP aspect or manage users directly with FlowerDocs. Everything is possible. And when you arrive in FlowerDocs, you arrive on a dashboard that allows you to quickly access to your processes, some of the tasks you may have to do, to some of the searches you've saved. And this is something configurable we will see later. And here I'm connected as Alain Escafre, and I want to, for example, perform a search. So I'm going to search for documents here. And for example, I want to search for contracts because I want to look at specifically some contracts for a task I have to do today. So as you can see, I can configure what I want. If I'm not finding the criteria I want here, I can always add more criteria here, and that will be used in the search, or I can remove them if I don't want. And then I can search. And so I will find here all the contracts that have been uploaded in the system. If it's something that I do frequently, I can save. So here I'm going to save my search so that I can play it again. And I want like to display the top 20 documents of this. And I can name it. Also, I can name it in different fashions if I work in a global company. So with different languages here. Contracts. And so it means that now save searches, I can just access directly and it's pre-configured, but I can still kind of filter in if I want and drill down into the content more specifically. If, for example, I had like 200 contracts that it had been found. Also, storing save search so easily here. It's interesting because you can integrate them into different applications. So you can save your search in the system, in the UI, so easily here. And then you can easily integrate the lists of the saved search if you want to display this in Salesforce, for example, or in another system. That's a nice way to do configurable things that go and integrate and mash up the data where it needs to be. With the searches, I can browse the content. I can click here and it's going to open my content. And so I can review the metadata that are associated to the content on the left, and I can browse the content on the right. As Corey said before, we use a render, one of our products. So we provide the best viewing experience you can have for viewing a document, thanks to this. And so one of the things that I like here a lot is, so I'm reviewing several of them here, and I don't know which is the one that I want to look for exactly. So I can select the one that I believe are the right ones, and I can open them also, all of them with the viewer. So what it does, it's going to open kind of full screen the content. And what is nice is that it actually is going to open all three documents. And so it means that I can browse and I will be able to browse all the documents just kind of continuously all at one. And this is nice because it's very, like there is no such thing as being able to open 10 documents at once on digital. Actually, it's a bit stupid, but if you think of it, sometimes you have to print your documents if you want to be able to browse them all very quickly, or you can integrate a render and do this digitally. Another thing I like is thanks to this great pattern, I've been in document management for quite some time, and something users always want is, yes, so they do a full text search. So when I say a full text search, it means like searching for like a specific word. And so here, if I tap purpose and do a search, it like depending on if I have if I have enabled or not the full text search on the repository, it will display the search, but it will only display some of the documents that have the specific word. Actually, what I can do here with a render is that I can search in all of the documents, and I will be able to browse all the places. And if it's a word that is in several documents, it will be able to search on all of them at once. So I don't know if I open another one here, like I don't know if I have liability in several documents, all documents, liability. Now you see here, I find liability here and here in this document, but also in this document. And again, I know many document management systems where not you cannot do this unless you integrate with a render, because you have to open each of the documents. And our users love this. And so now I can, like, as you see, I can manage documents traditionally, search them, add, edit metadata, and all of that. When I'm happy with my search, I can also, so I can decide to add it as a widget. So here I can create a dash, what we call it a dashlet. This is one of the new capabilities. So here today I'm showing you the FlowerDocs 2025 release that was released at the beginning of the year. And usually we do 3 releases a year, kind of minor releases and a major release every year and a half. And so here, one of the new parts was that I can do, for example, a donut if I want. And so you can configure your dashlet here easily, contracts per customer, and then I can aggregate. So depending on something, for example, here, like I could use direction, but it can be many other things. And having done so, when I connect to my dashboard, I will have a new entry, contracts per customer. It happens that I hadn't assigned directions in there, so we're not seeing anything, but I'm going to change I'm going to change it. And so I'm going to add another one here. Up. So this time I'm going to use like a count, and I'm going to display how many contracts under management. I can select the color on which it has to be displayed. Also the icon if I want, here that I can change. And for this one that is more simple, there is only one step. And then, it's going to do a count here and display the right value. So like just 5 here. And clicking on it, I arrived immediately on the list. So just with those simple patterns, you can work with your customers and deploy in very honestly a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, a complete process. And yeah, we've just seen the part where I am searching for documents, assembling data, looking for it, and all of this. But of course, users can upload content. So they can, when I upload content, I can specify, the type. So for example, I can add like a driving license with the validity dates. And I'm going to assign here to a customer. So specifically, like I'm going to use Susan Jamila and adding the ID card. So I have a bunch of ID cards here. I'm going to use any of them. And so it has been added. Now, if I go look from a folder case perspective, this is because we have eProcess here, and so there is a pre-configuration to have kind of case view. If I open Jamila, Mrs. Jamila case, then I can see all of the documents that I have for them. So here, for example, I can see a report here, like a complaint letter. I can see like kind of fake ID here that I have uploaded. And again, as you see, it's very easy to really view all the things. I'm staying at the case level, so it's very handy. I'm just reading all the information I want. But if I want, I can always jump on at the document level. Drilling down, and I can complete metadata or do whatever I want on the document. You know, I can flag it, and then it's going to appear on the dashboard. I can download it, and what we've just discussed. I can also put something for other users that they want to know about, like here. So where I am, like, I'm going to add the comment directly here. It's going to be easier. I suspect this ID card to be used several times over the last week. Okay, and so the idea is that you can use also as a collaboration system. Actually, I was just with the customer before that I was explaining to me they have so many post-its that you have a room problem because they just use the system for collaborating. If you want kind of lightweight with no barrier and constraint collaboration, it can be very good. And here, like I'm reviewing a complaint letter, and if I want to answer, I can, we have something called, we have the ability to answer, directly from the system. So for example, here, I can send a new mail, and it's going from the system. I can type the email address to whom I want to send. So for example, Corey, corey.kid@exopian.com. And then here, what's interesting is it can use templates. So I can include templates coming from the system. So here I have like a new email template. I can integrate, but I can choose another one if I want. I can do that full screen if I want. It's very easy to stay. The idea is that you have a 360 view with all the information, and you stay on the screen, and you're very productive just working on the content of your customers. And I could go all day long here showcasing FlowerDocs. And in particular, something we haven't seen is the workflows. So it's possible to create workflows. You can configure workflows in hours. It takes an hour to configure a workflow from end to end, even actually half an hour if you want. And so, for example, here, if I'm hiring someone, and so let's say like it was John Doe here, but I could decide that I create a new one. So I'm hiring Corey Kid onto the process. I can check. I'm sure that there is no Corey Kid in the system already. And then it started. So I have the task. So Corey Kid. So usually the reference you integrate with other system. And then, as you see here, you have a bunch of documents that you have to fill straight from the onboarding. So here, I need to take a contract. So I'm going to take a contract, whatever, like here, create, and then bank account details. So here, let's imagine that I'm using a bank account detail, and I can add new documents. And so this is all the pieces. And I know that the next step, we can decide that next step is going to be officially someone else, or it can be a department. You can force, we'll see this, you can design whatever next step you want. The idea is that it has to be easy. And so now I know that I have started something, a new request, and I'm going to log as the people from HR that are going to process this new request. Now I have two workflows here, and I can actually see my workflows here. I can see recruitment of an employee, hiring of an employee, query kid, processing, etc. And so, yes, I can go process the task. What I like, for example, here, I know we're missing a document. I can click on New from Template, and then I can see and select a given template. Like, actually, I need another contract. I'm going to select it and use this template. And so it's going to create another template in the system. So, and so I can finish it like here. So in the end, we can see that we can manage tasks, we can assign them, and it's very easy. Now, what we want to see is how this is done behind the scene. And so for this, I'm connecting as the kind of functional admin. And as being a functional admin, I have access to the administration interface where I can design the workflows. And so the one that we had was employee onboarding. Employee, yes, like this one. Well, a process with eProcess is very simple. You design first which business space, like users can be bound to business spaces, and so for who it is available, what icon I display, what type of metadata I want to manage going with it. And here, like what we call tags are metadata, actually. I'm declaring through this process, I want to manage email, phone number, some attachments like the contract, the bank statement, housing and other things. And then I define my steps. So the creation step, like the person who, let's say, manager who's just hired someone, I have to fill up the contract and the bank statement. But then the owner step is has to review some of the things in read-only, and then you can add additional processes and steps. If I want to enable electronic signature, I just have to display one here, one button, and gonna activate electronic signature, and so I can do this, all the way along, and as many steps as I want. This is really the strength is that in just a few clicks, you can design some workflows, and you can map them very easily to all your departments. So you don't want to flood everybody with plenty of processes they don't need to use. So it's really designed to scale across your departments, and that's really nice. That's also something we can see as you see users management and groups management, and security. What here in the terms of security, we can see, for example, if I want to see the security for documents in general, then I can add rules, security rules, and say that in general, if a user profile is given like this security level, then they can, it means they cannot administrate, they can create, delete, update, they can annotate, but they cannot create and read obfuscation. So Corey was talking about this, not something we're going to have the time to demo today, but you can really design who can mask out information and who can see the masked information and who can't very easily. And so you define what you can do on the content, you can download it, not download it, see it, print it, or not. Like basically everything can be configured. The security model is very powerful, and you bind it to objects in the system. and to groups of users and of users at the same time. So it ends up being very, very powerful. And you can manage, as an admin, you can manage many things. So the workflow instances, security, also delegation. So when I create a delegation, I define who and for when, and then it means that automatically people with delegation can work for other people, and that's something nice. And you can see and manage this also kind of personally here. Like as a user, I can create some delegations if I want. Everything is really nicely designed. Also, the templates and emails as an admin, you can manage various templates that your users will use for document initializations, emails, answers, and that types of things. Also, something that is very powerful here, you have the term scope. And scope here means that everything I'm showing you is on a tenant. Like it's everything I'm doing here is tenant based, and I am on a given tenant that we call scope that has some specific configuration. But if I want to serve with the same system, different departments with completely different applications, or even different organizations that will have their data stored in different Elasticsearch indexes, for instance, this is something you can do with FlowerDocs. And I think this is really something very different from what you can find in the competition, is that it's designed to scale in a nice way. Like if you want to build a vertical SaaS or something like this, you can do it with FlowerDocs. And I will finish here with the view from the admin, like the technical admin this time. So here I'm logged on another browser with the technical admin. And it's interesting because in terms of admin view, we'll see more things. So we see things related to, like kind of observability and seeing the system running. And like if I go on security here, you can see how you configure credentials for your system. Again, what's interesting here is that I'm on a specific scope. So what does it mean? It means that I can have different sources of users per scope on the system. And here I can configure teams. So not only there is the notion of users, groups, permissions, permission groups that we've seen just before, but also teams that allow to really map out some sort of roles. So really the permissioning system of FlowerDocs is very, very, very powerful. And you have something that is more related to how to customize a solution. This is really the final point here of my demo today, as we have you can here upload some custom scripts that are going to use REST API and integrate with other systems. So this is where you put really like advanced logics if you want. But you can also decide that you have some plugins, and so you can customize URLs. You can integrate with other systems very easily in Java if you want. So everything is really highly configurable. And so here, like I see some custom operations that check MIME types and create, or you have a notion of events. So you can add some hooks based on specific events after creation here, and filter on some criteria so that it doesn't assign to everybody. So that's it for a tour. I think I can give back the hand to Corey, I believe.
Go along.
Yes, I have to stop sharing.
All right. Well, I know we're kind of close to time here, so I hope everyone has a little bit extra to stay. We'll get through these last portions and have some time for Q&A. These last parts are quick. So, now that we've seen all this, we've seen what a great product we have. You might be thinking to yourself, why Uxopian Software? What makes the company so great? Why do I want to deal with them? Um, we are a responsive software company. Our mission is to get the right information to the right place at the right time securely. Now, we've already been proven. We have millions of users all over the world, with, tons of happy customers here. Um, we're sustaining 34% year over year growth, just as kind of proving, that people are so happy with us. They're hearing about us, they're recommending us. And to go along with that, the company's been expanding to support the products as well. Um, I'm a new hire-ish, like 2 years actually. My anniversary is this month. Alon's been here a little bit less than a year, but we're expanding our teams and supporting these products appropriately as we grow. So I think that's great, that the company is doing that and investing so much in continuing to grow and support these products. We have offices in the US and France, if you couldn't tell from some of the accents on this call, a little different. Uh, then we've built an ecosystem around this enterprise content management. We have 4 products here, that we've talked about today with Arender, Fast2, FlowerDocs, and eProcess. And then we are supported by the Neurons Group and its subsidiary Aronder. Uh, so we are another subsidiary of Aronder. And I would say we're small but mighty. We have the agility and ability to act of a startup with the strengths of a larger group. And one of the things that I hear, all the time from our customers is that they're happy with the communication and level of support they get from us, I think because of that. So again, just emphasizing here, we can help you manage your content throughout the entire life cycle, from getting it into the system, migrating and injecting, to storing and retrieving, processing those documents, how you view and access them with a render, finally how you govern them with Fast2 and eProcess. Um, we help you throughout that entire journey for the document. And maybe, quickly, we have some product investment themes that Alon would like to address.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. No surprises here. Like we invest in AI. You will hear a lot about this as the years go through. We are working, on fulfilling our mission of bringing the right information in the right place at the right time. That includes and necessitates using AI. More to come, but basically, we think that no more just displaying the content to the user is what needs to be done when you are working on a workflow. We need to really kind of provide the right information that is needed. That means messaging the content to and rewriting it with the LLM to really provide straightforward what is needed. That means great evolution that would come with a render. We'll also work on retrieval augmented generation architecture for FlowerDocs. So lots of very excited things that we are working on and that we'll hear about at the end of the year. And we are actually making sure, because I'm a very big fan of, continuous innovation. And so we've decided, even if sometimes it makes our innovation less as shiny as we wanted at the beginning, there's always time to shine, but we're able to go deliver it in the versions that you have already. So if you are interested and you have some AI related experiments you want to conduct with us, just contact us because we'll be able to deliver with you if you're interested. Like automatic summaries of content, extraction of metadata, comparison with AI, all of those good themes we're working on. We'll be happy to work with you. We keep investing in integrating a render to other systems as well as Fast2 for moving. We see a trend where customers are, restructuring the unstructured and putting it into data lakes. Migrating from ECM systems to data lakes is something that we start seeing, and we're working on some connectors there. And external collaboration. One thing that is really nice is now you from FlowerDocs you can access our board and some of the things we're working on, and so you can see just straight from the product we're working on ability to share with people that are not part of your authentication scheme of your user realms, but still being able to do this in a secret fashion. Governance, content governance, whether content is in FlowerDocs or somewhere else, thanks to the power of Fast2, is something we work on. And making all those products more and more converging toward one same single architecture. I think we'll call it a roadmap.
All right. So, just wrapping up with a couple key takeaways here. So, first is that being able to control and secure every document is a vital piece for every business. We need to be on top of that. Uh, you can migrate easily with Fast2, as well as monitor your content, bring it all, and harmonize those content silos. You can start small with FlowerDocs and scale big, hundreds of millions plus. Uh, Satisfy everyone with your no code approach as well as pure API driven approaches. So both business and technical users can use it. We can deploy anywhere. There's no restrictions for Dockers, Kubernetes, Cloud, SaaS, jars, however we want. And finally, a render allows us to collaborate like experts. We have a great way to view these documents to access that information. And if you'd like to learn more for yourself, you'd like to try it, there will be a survey at the end of this webinar. When you close it, we'd highly encourage you to fill that out. Uh, if you don't have time right now, then we also have a form, of course. You can go to our website and fill that out. And this is my real contact information. So you're free to also screenshot this and reach out to me if you'd like. All right. With that said, we will now take some time for Q&A.
So we have a first question. What most common systems your customers migrate from, and how do you handle mapping metadata and workflows during migrations? I think I'll take the first part of the question, and I will let you give the answer of the second part, Corey. So our customers migrate from systems that cost us too much, or that they cannot evolve anymore, or that they cannot apply security patches because there is no more security patches to apply. This is typically what people do. Also, sometimes, customers are frustrated because their vendor is kind of forcing them to move to the cloud, or if they want, the last shiny AI capability, they have to go and move to the cloud. Those types of approaches, well, we try to spread our value of freedom, and let our customers choose, and we provide them the tools to either keep accessing the old content easily or migrate when they want at the time they want. Sometimes also a good example, like we have some partners where they want to stay with the same vendor, but they are on premise and they want to on a very old version. They want to move to the cloud, but like they would have to migrate to each and every intermediate versions of the system before joining the cloud. That's very tedious, and sometimes you'd better just export all the data and import it again on the target system, even if it's the same product, by passing all those steps. Those are the types of customers that work with us.
Uh, so as far as, mapping items, it's there'll be a little bit of creation in FlowerDocs. So the thing I would note with Fast2 is it's primarily for moving, the document data as well as content. Um, there will be uh, there will be some creation of those document types and workflow within FlowerDocs prior to an actual migration, which, as Alon showed, is very user-friendly. We can create those pretty quickly, especially when the business processes are already defined. However, we always would encourage reviewing that process, especially if you're switching systems. That's a great opportunity to look at the business processes and make sure that they're aligning with your actual needs. So we think it's a great opportunity for that. And then, actually moving the data with Fast2 uh, is very simple. Fast2 has the ability to transform or move that data however we'd like. It's a very powerful tool for that. So we will get it over to where we need it appropriately.
We have a second question. Thank you, Corey, for your answer. And we have a second question. How does FlowerDoc handle complex approval workflows that span across multiple departments, especially when we already have existing systems in place? So that's the idea with eProcess, is to be on the type of workflow where you have some very creative way of circulating the information, like meaning you have to be you have to be agile, and you want to use a process because you can easily configure the steps. You can decide to add another step in the middle and send to someone. So this is really where a process will shine. If you are looking for something very structured with lots of parallelization and light of merge nodes, the types of things you find in like BPMN specification. Well, there are workflow processes engine that you can work with. We think here like we are more on the case with kind of very collaborative types of workflows. So this is the first level of answer. And then, of course, we have ways, our customers have ways to integrate and launch. For example, one great capability is you can launch a sub process. So if you want, right after the first step, I can launch three sub processes separately that will go with their own life and do parallel things and go across multiple departments in parallel. That being said, yes, with eProcess, we try to encourage our customers to keep it simple. I've been doing workflows all my career, and I can promise you, I have seen customers like doing workflows with hundreds of nodes. And yes, it's a perspective of their reality, but it's unlikely the right one. So that's really my piece of advice is try to simplify the most. And now we have a question about, could you walk us through the deployment process? How long does it take to get started with a POC? I mean, starting with the POC takes the time to contact Corey or Corto or David, our sales representatives in the US, and just discuss with us. We'll take a couple of meetings, and then Corto will take it from there and drive you through some POCs. Right, Corto?
The other thing I would note with that is if you're using, from the actual technical perspective, like getting it deployed with something like Docker is very, very quick. We provide compose files, you can get it downloaded and spun up in a matter of minutes. And from there, to actually just experiment with it, it's pretty easy to go through a lot of those no code steps.
And we'll take one last final question because then we'll be out of time. So you mentioned FlowerDocs integrates with a render and Fast2. Could you explain how the three products work together in a typical migration or modernization project and what kind of effort that requires from our IT team? Do you want to take it, Corey?
Uh, yes. Let's see. So that's a big question. So so the I would say that the typical thing that when you just think about these, so FlowerDocs as part of, and especially if I'm talking about like a Docker deployment, you know, we'll be able to spin up a render with it. Now, a render will just appear seamlessly to you as part of the FlowerDocs product. So from that point, a render is integrated and you can do all the great things that we've talked about with it. You have access to the full functionality as well as the ability to configure what people can view there. So that is a kind of a product we offer separately, but it also has a seamless integration. But people could deploy pieces of that uh,
Yeah.
as a development as well if they like to access through external systems.
Yes, and I would add to that that the idea, the modularity is really our strength here. And so you typically a way I would advise is you can start by deploying a render on the legacy system so that you improve the experience on the legacy system and customers start adapting to a new way to access information. Actually, a better way, especially as it's going to be filled with AI soon also. Uh, and then um, and then as a user gets adapted, then you introduce, for example, FlowerDocs and eProcess for one satellite part. So you still use your legacy system to have all like storing, archiving aspect of it, but as documents are live and you want to foster collaboration, you deploy eProcess, and so you turn one old process with a new one, leveraging eProcess. And then, as people start liking this approach, you can decide to use Fast2 to migrate all of your content from the legacy system to open source and the repository that is behind FlowerDocs.
And the other piece of that is fast too. So one of the things that we'll advise when we're talking about fast two is basically to deploy as early as possible. Um, you want to start using it to basically discover the information in your old system. Uh, let's see. So you can basically, it's like Alon said with the render, but get fast two out there as early as possible. Start using what we call our source connector to comb through the information, see what's in the source system, see if you need to move everything, what's really out there, um, and just how you can approach that once you have it. Now, once you have your data, you can start moving it over. You can make a live process that goes, or you can extract things beforehand and then inject them kind of a different way. So there's lots of different ways to work with it. Fast2 is very quick to deploy. And again, it's got a very visual interface. So you just kind of need to figure out, do I need to transform my data at all? And use some of the pre-built connectors, hopefully, to get things connected and start moving it into FlowerDocs.
Thank you, Corey, for this explanation, detailed one. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Clement, for organizing this webinar today. It was a pleasure to review the value of FlowerDocs. I don't know, Clement, if you want to add something.
Yes, thank you, Corik, and thank you, Alain. Thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar. Like Cory said, at the end of the session, you will see a form. Feel free to use it, and we get in touch. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.